Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the program today, the Border Patrol has shut down illegal immigration in California and Texas. That's moved the problem to New Mexico and Arizona, where the governors of those states have declared a state of emergency. We have the details today. Randi Thompson has the rundown.
Sam goes down to Arizona and talks with Tim Peters, the director of operations for the government contractor on border surveillance for New Mexico and Arizona. It's a reality check interview, folks.
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel, Fred Lokken, Robert Compan, and Scott Craigie. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
How long does it take to get to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park? Well, it's just 10 minutes east of Reno Sparks on Highway 80, just minutes from the airport. And under construction is an interchange linking I-80 to TRI's 4-lane USA Parkway. And soon this parkway will connect Interstate 80 to Highway 50. How far is the world's largest industrial center from your home? It's a lot closer than you think. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, building economic prosperity for Nevada.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
Nevada Newsmakers is sponsored in part by the Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association. As an employer, did you know you can be held liable for negligent hiring? A background screening by Employer Links can uncover criminal records, like alcohol and drug convictions. It can verify the applicant's education, driving records, and professional licenses. Employer Links can check civil records, registered sex offender records, and Social Security fraud. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seem to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers.
Okay, welcome to the show today. We have Mr. Brandon Trainor. He's the chair of the Nevada Libertarian Party. Thank you, sir, for coming today.
You're welcome.
The first question is, I have a hard time defining a libertarian. It seems like that you back, on first hand, you back conservative issues like TABOR, the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, but also you back liberal issues like marijuana decriminalization. Just wonder, how do you explain a libertarian?
You could just look at the word. A libertarian is someone who believes in liberty as our primary political goal.
But not liberalism.
Liberalism as it's used to be defined, perhaps, classical liberalism, the liberalism of the 19th century Democrats, the liberalism of the Founding Fathers, the liberalism that believed in decentralized government, lower taxes, and more personal freedom. When you talk about the social issues, for example, the 19th century Democrats were against the blue laws, which were the big controversy in those days, whether you should be able to drink alcohol on Sunday. They were also in favor of the gold standard and lower taxes across the board. The last president in our country that actually had a debt-free federal government was Andrew Jackson. Now, of course, we have to mold those ideas of the Enlightenment and that period into the 21st century, and that's what we do. But the Democrats, for example, their primary political goal is democracy, and democracy means everybody votes on practically everything, and the majority wins, and they're interested in equality quality of outcome. The Republicans are hard to pin down on what they believe in. As one of your questions later on might suggest, they have abandoned their principles to most of us as libertarians, and that's why we are opposed to them as well. They claim that they're for a Republican form of government, but we don't see that happening. We see more and more centralization.
Okay, Mr. Trainor, let me stop you there and let me read to you something that was on your website apparently that you read. You said the Republican Party has always been a socialist party. Karl Marx wired congratulations to Abraham Lincoln when he was reelected. The Republican Party is the right wing and the Democratic Party is the left wing of the American Socialist Party.
Yes.
Could you explain that? You're calling both the Republicans Democrat socialists? That's close to being a communist, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is. And in fact, there is the Republican Party right now is controlled by a political faction or ideology called neoconism, or the neocons, and they are directly linked to Trotsky. I don't want people's eyes to glaze over when I talk about particular names and ideologies, but the fact is that most of the people that are very influential in the Republican Party and that you see as pundits on television all the time, they trace their movement back to Leon Trotsky. That's where they started. And
okay, let's stop there. Leon Trotsky was a friend for a time of Joseph Stalin before Stalin had him murdered. Well,
Stalin eventually had him murdered, but he believed in permanent revolution. We believe that what they believe in is actually permanent war, or as George Orwell said, constant war, perpetual war for perpetual peace. And we have when they took over the Republican Party in 1952, Mr. Republican then was Bob Taft, who believed in America first, and he was opposed to war, foreign wars. When they nominated Dwight Eisenhower and all the presidents after them down the line, they become more and more international and more in favor of intervention, foreign intervention, as a bulwark of their party. We believe, like the old right did, we believe in non-intervention. We don't believe that we should be engaged in entangling alliances. We still believe in the principles that George Washington put forth in his farewell address, when he said that America should not play favorites, nor have constant enemies, nor should we, our principal goal in foreign policy should be free trade or commerce, but not entangling alliances that tie us in with other countries who may have interests that are above our own.
Okay, Mr. Trainor, on your website, you call for a 1950s style McCarthy check on the federal government to purge them of Trotskyites and
Well, it's
socialists?
actually happening to a degree now. You know, with the AIPAC spy scandal, the FBI has already indicted a couple of people for passing secrets, high government secrets, classified information onto Israel. And so it's already starting to happen. But basically what you had was the Office of Special Plans and the Pentagon stovepiping this false information that eventually got into President Bush's State of the Union address about the yellow cake in Niger and how the weapons of mass destruction were all over Iraq and so on. And a lot of these people, again, were part of this movement that's called the neocon movement. They were responsible for this. And actually, you know, as far as that McCarthyite investigation, we were never for blaming people for their ideology or trying to find what ideology they had. Frank Chodorow, a prominent libertarian at the time, said, if there are too many communists in government office, the answer is not to get rid of the communists, it's to abolish the government office.
Okay, let's go to the state politics now, sir, real quickly. Your key thing here is that the federal government owns 90% or over 90% of land in Nevada. You want that returned to the people, is that correct?
Yes, sure. We sure do. It's endemic in the western states. This is a condition that we don't believe they actually have title to the land constitutionally, but it's been very difficult to get that through the courts when people have tried that. But now we are discovering that what they really want is not so much the land, but the water. They want the water rights. And a libertarian rancher named Wayne Hage has won a major victory in the U.S. Court of Claims regarding the fact that if you have water rights, then the property rights that are associated with those water rights cannot be taken by the federal government without compensation. And so that's basically what we are. If you're going to take over the land, you have to compensate the people. If you're going to regulate for the Endangered Species Act and make it unprofitable for somebody to own land because he has a certain endangered animal on his land, then he must be compensated. But as far as Nevada's lands, yes, there's far too much in the hands of the federal government. A lot of these counties in Nevada have very little tax base. They're virtually broke because of it. The government says they do payments in kind, but actually we would like to stop seeing the states and the people give all this money back to the federal government through all these taxes and so on. We want it much more decentralized. The federal government should be much smaller. It's 25% of the gross domestic product now is the federal government. Let's shrink that back down to the constitutional size and return, let the people and the states keep the money.
Okay.
And do with it what they want.
Mr. Trainor, we'll have to stop it right there. I have to congratulate you. I'm still confused on the Libertarians if they're
I have the world's smallest political quiz here, which is an outreach tool. If you take that, you might even find that you're a Libertarian.
You never know. We'll be right back after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
Since its creation more than a decade ago, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has focused on 3 goals: preserving water quality, improving water conservation in Southern Nevada, and meeting the community's current and future water needs. Through thoughtful planning, responsible management, and collaboration, it's succeeding. As we move into the 21st century, the authority continues to embrace sustainable water development and efficient water use. That's our promise to Nevada.
My family started this business 27 years ago.
We work hard to serve our customers and our community. But it's getting harder and harder to keep the doors open.
For example, our workers' comp is going through the roof. Isn't anyone on my side anymore?
The Retail Association of Nevada is. If you're a small business owner, we can cut your workers' comp by up to 50%, lobby for your interests, and keep you informed. Put us to work today.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers.
Okay, today we have Stan Hunterton of Las Vegas. He's an attorney who is considering running for the 3rd congressional seat against John Porter. Good morning to you, Mr. Hunterton. How are you doing?
Fine, Ray. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's been reported that as a favor to Harry Reid that you're considering running against John Porter in District 3. Why take on such a formidable opponent for Mr. Reid?
Well, I wouldn't call it a favor for Harry Reid. It was Senator Reid who made the suggestion that I think about it. I'd never thought about it before, and I'm grateful to him for making the suggestion because I think it's an interesting possibility. As to your question about why take this on, like the majority of the American public showing in the polls over the last 6 to 12 months, I believe the country's headed in the wrong direction, and Congressman Porter's helping it go in the wrong direction.
Well, sir, 2 of your big issues, aren't they? The war in Iraq and Social Security. Could you talk about that for a minute?
Sure. I'm a moderate Democrat, depending on the issue. I'm probably a couple of clicks to the right of center or a couple of clicks to the left of center. And this administration on Social Security and the war have just wandered way far to the right of where I think the people of the 3rd Congressional District, like the people of Nevada and like the people of the United States are.
Okay, now, in 1999, you interviewed with Senator Reid for a U.S. District judgeship. In your talks with Senator Reid recently, did a nomination for a judgeship come up as maybe a caveat for you to run against Mr. Porter?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, now, you are also considered one of the top white-collar crime attorneys in Las Vegas and a former member of the organized crime strike force. I ask you that, or say that, because 4 weeks ago in San Diego, 2 councilmen were convicted for taking campaign contributions from a strip club owner. That same strip club owner also allegedly gave contributions to 3 county commissioners in Las Vegas. Now, according to reports, the case against the Las Vegas County Commissioners is much stronger than the case against the San Diego councilman. Could you maybe expand on this as a legal expert?
Well, I don't think that has anything to do with the outcome of the 3rd Congressional District.
No.
Yes, I was interviewed for that article. It is true, in my opinion, that the case here is stronger than the one in San Diego, but it's also important to remember that every trial is like a night at the theater. A different group comes together, and sometimes things can come out differently. You're going to have different prosecutors here, different witness, obviously a different jury, and you just never know how these things are going to come out.
What is the key reason why the Las Vegas trial, the commissioners stand a tough chance of getting convicted?
Well, I think there are 2 things. The insider witnesses here are politicians, as opposed to Mr. Ghilardi, who was the insider witness in San Diego. So these people are going to be able to say that they were present at the acts of corruption. And secondly, from what I hear around the courthouse and among the legal community, the tape recordings are more damaging to the defendants than they were in San Diego.
Okay, can we move back to the District 3 race for a minute, sir?
Sure.
You are considering running for the District 3 congressional seat, but you live in District 1. How could you represent the people of District 3 when you live in District 1?
One of the great traditions in Nevada politics has been, no matter how much they all may disagree on party matters, the congressional delegation in the North as well as the South have all worked very well together on Nevada kinds of issues. And I would expect to continue that. Now, I may move into the district, but if you look between District 1 and District 2, at least, you'd be hard-pressed to say that the interests of the people in District 1 are any different than the interests of people in District 2. And the law is quite clear that to run for a congressional seat in any state, all you need to do is live in the state.
Okay, Mr. Hunterton, we'll wrap it up there. You are more of a legal expert than I. Thank you for being on today's show. We'll be right back with our pundit panel.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Here at the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we focus on attracting high-tech companies to Northern Nevada. One vital amenity provided to companies at TRI is a connection to a complete digital fiber network. This gives the ability of unlimited bandwidth and voice services to every business. And what's charged for the installation of this valuable asset? Nothing. Zero. Nada. And that's a pretty good deal. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Dave, I'm telling you, it's all in the follow-through.
Actually, Dave, it's all in the putting.
No matter how you swing, it's a classic opportunity to play for local organizations.
That's why we're teeing off in the Kest Classic at Wolf Run on September 15th. Our tournament will benefit Care Chest of Sierra Nevada, providing free medical supplies to those in need, and help our local seroptimists support the community.
Hey, Dave, you've got the perfect score.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
I'm back on Nevada Newsmakers, joined by Randi Thompson here. We're taping this on September 1st, and the only story that anybody in this country is truly talking about is the hurricane and the effects of the hurricane and what's going on. And we're joined on our pundit panel today by Fred Lokken, who's professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College, Robert Compan with Farmers Insurance Government Affairs Representative, and Scott Craigie with Alrus Consulting. And let me point out different areas of expertise here. Randi Thompson handles PR for the Red Cross. Scott Craigie was former chief of staff to Governor Miller and the head of the PUC. Robert Compan, obviously involved in the insurance industry, and Fred Lokken here, obviously dealing with the politics of the subject. Let's start out, first of all, Scott. Can you imagine the situation that you would find yourself in if you received a phone call saying that your city is 20 feet below sea level, had waters rising up to 15 feet, and you had to evacuate the whole town?
You know, I have been watching CNN as it's gone on, and besides just being teary-eyed over some of the personal stories, to imagine an American city where dead bodies are laying in pools of water for days. I don't think people realize how important it is to have an infrastructure that can react to something like this. When I was Bob Miller's chief of staff, we had to call out the National Guard in Nevada a couple of times. The Rodney King riots that we had down in southern Nevada, a couple of times when the homeless were dying because of the cold weather down in Vegas, and we were able to turn around the Guard, but even then, in a city that was functional, it took a day and a half to get real services together and get them operating. And all of the protocols that you have to have so that you do these things right and people are handled correctly. To do it in a setting where there's literally no infrastructure, and where people themselves have not followed directions, have not done those things that they've been asked to do to go to the stadium, etc. How these guys are coping with this, they're not in many cases, but the job they're doing is Herculean, and these people are genuine heroes, those folks that are working in that environment.
What happens within the insurance industry when something like this occurs?
Well, the sad thing about it is in New Orleans, 1 out of 4 people live under the poverty level, and they can't afford insurance. Flood damage is not covered. Groundwater is not covered by insurance. So therefore, there's a national flood insurance program through the federal government that affords insurance to these folks. But unfortunately, when you're living under the poverty level, how do you insure that if you can't afford insurance? So the thing is, for the people who are insured, and you're talking about the infrastructure breaking down, to get into New Orleans, to get in there to start assessing the damage, to start issuing checks and getting people, back on their feet, getting them living quarters to live in, and getting food and water.
I'm going to stop you for just a second. And the reason is you're speaking logically and making sense in this terms of insurance industry, but the reality is that it's going to be 4 to 6 months before they can even get in there and start any kind of assessment of rebuilding. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. And that's the problem that's faced through our industry, is to be able to get into the state. So what we can do is we can work from outside. We can work with the Red Cross and other agencies to coordinate the efforts of those who are insured. those who do have insurance, because even though there's not flood insurance, there's damage from wind and rain that is covered by the insurance. So we can provide those folks who are insured with additional living expenses, get them into apartments or hotels, get them clothing on their back, coordinate efforts through that way to help the folks out.
How do you do that when you can't contact them?
Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, and we were just talking about this earlier today. It's almost like we're a third world country down in New Orleans. I mean, we should have been more preparedness for this prior to the
everybody believes that.
Okay, Fred, what are the political ramifications?
Well, as I think we would all agree, there are a lot of them. At the national level, it's response time, the fact that the National Guardsmen are committed overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan, so they don't have the ability to dip into National Guardsmen as much as they might have in other circumstances. Compassion issue with President Bush being on vacation, perhaps not responding as quickly to the devastation. He's coming at the third or fourth day after the hurricane to first assess the damage. Now seems to be responding, but I think he's going to have some political fallout. But political careers can be made out of this, too. We need to remember Rudy Giuliani after 9/11. How some of the state and local officials respond, I think, will, in essence, define some of our future political leadership.
I think it's interesting, and I want to give the other side to the points you just made there, because I think the President responded appropriately. I think that this gives him the opportunity to be the leader that he was during 9/11, and I think that it actually gives him the opportunity to rebuild his position, with the country, which perhaps has been lacking over the last couple of months.
And they've had a couple of surrogates. Haley Barbour has just been incredible.
Yeah.
And whether he's right or wrong, or wherever blame lies, I mean, there have been some strong voices for the administration, I'm sorry.
Well, in the National Guard, the people that are mobilized in Iraq are military infantry trained. The guys that are here are the preparedness guys. So even though people are complaining there's not National Guardsmen, the ones that are not here probably wouldn't be even utilized now.
Well, they just called up 10,000 National Guardsmen, too. But it's going to take more of an effort than that. It's going to take, hundreds of thousands of folks just to get there to rescue the folks and get the refugees out of the state, out of the city, out of harm's way.
Randy, I want to give you the last 15, 20 seconds here to talk about Red Cross and how people can help.
Yeah, this is the biggest crisis ever that has faced the National Red Cross. It is the biggest mobilization. There's over 400 shelters. Bottom line, send money. We've had numerous discussions with people that want to send articles, clothing, diapers. Don't. Money is all that really matters, because the money is then spent in the local economy. And you've had several days now of no sales tax generations. There's no economy now in the Gulf Coast. When that money is spent locally, it helps rebuild those businesses. So make a donation to the American Red Cross would be the best thing you could do right now.
And we'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
South Reno's hotspot for food, fun, and friends is the Tamarack Junction. Play over 480 of the hottest slots and video poker games. Enjoy hot times and sizzling food specials at Sully's Sports Bar, Grill, and Nightclub. Watch your favorite game on one of our jumbo high-definition plasma TVs. Enjoy great food 24 hours a day in the Dining Car Restaurant. Or sample the best hot and cold sandwiches in the Whistle Stop Deli. The Tamarack Junction is your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway. Yeah.
And remember, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers online at nevadanewsmakers.com. We'd love to get your emails there as well.
And tomorrow we have an attorney to talk about the fallout from eminent domain, Kermit Waters, and Jeremy Aguirre to talk about housing, the future going up and not out.
Join us on Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you then.